my name's Ralph and welcome to the channel. It's my time, let's go. Today we're going to do some work on trigger and I'm going to try and tidy up some wiring, get some things straightened out. We've put the dyno ignition system in it, but the other one blew up on it, so we put that in. And we've got to check on the trailer wiring and the trailer lights and just kind of give it a going over and so that it'll be ready for Frank in the spring. So the plan is to try and straighten up this mess here. We're going to rewire the switch up here and put new contacts and such in there. They've been in there for a long time. We've got the coil all done and rewired with the new ignition system. You can't see it down in there, but there was like kind of a glow light. Some of this old wiring here is part of the glow light systems. And see what we can do just to tidy some things up. We also got to make sure that we got our trailer wiring in. Trigger's got the trailer. And this plug-in up here will retain this, because this is for our trailer lights, so we know we'll keep it separate. So it's not a whole lot to do, but Trigger just needs some work. It's been a while since she's had it going over electrically, so we're going to see what we can do. So day one, we're getting her a bit cleaned up there, and we're going to wrap it as it comes down through here. I think it's where we're going to put our junction box right here, and we can work off of that from the tail light and stuff. And I'm going to wrap this afterwards, but we just got this in place right now. But for day one, we're getting there. So wiring can always be a tedious sort of thing. You know, it takes time. You have to just put your head in the right headspace and think about where things come and where they go. But getting Trigger cleaned up a little bit, it's a good thing for the future. So we'll just keep working away at it. Well, it's pushing on 5 o'clock now. I didn't get as much done today as I thought I would do. We got hammered in snow last night. My buddy Law was just here and plowed me out, but I had to do a bunch of shoveling and clean my shed off. And I hate winter. I hate having to deal with it. So I'm behind again today. But hopefully we'll get a nice clean day out tomorrow and I can get a lot done. All right, I'll see you then. So now we're gonna get the exhaust off here in order for me to move the oil filter bracket out so that I can get in there at the horn and my brake light switch and make sure that everything's working as it should be. I can't really tell up top. You know, there's a lot of wires and I have an idea where they go. But if I can't put a test light on them or, you know, a tester on them and make sure that I've got power happening there, you know, I could wire it all up and get it all ready and then find out it's not working. So, as much as it can sometimes be a pain, please loosen them. I made this extra bracket to help keep the exhaust up in there and it's worked really well. So like you can see, we got a problem here with this helicoil. Appears to be pulling right out of the head. And Frank didn't mention it, but Frank likes it noisy. A little locking clip for it. And this is supposed to be able to stop it from moving there, so it doesn't look like it's doing much of a job. We're gonna have to figure out what to do with that. Doesn't look very good in there. I can screw it out of the helicoil. But the big question will be if we've got enough left inside the head here to pull it if the helicoil just started to spin out or whether it come out all the way. So we'll have to take a minute and have a look there. Trying to get a shot up in that hole, but it's pretty hard to see. The helicoil is way up inside. And somebody's put that in there as a 3/8 helicoil at one time. and I can't really get it out on the bike there. So what we're going to try to do is make a stud to go up inside. So we managed to fix the stud up in his head. Ironically enough, back up farther in the head was a 3/8 helical for some reason, and on the outside a 5/16. And the 5/16 is stripped out because the bracket wasn't supported properly. So we machined a piece to go up in there with 3/8 out of hardened bolt, and then tapered it down. After a few fails, we probably finally got what we wanted, and we were able to put it up in the head, Loctite it in there, torque it in tight so it bottomed out, and now we're going to just put this on it. We don't have the gasket on here yet, but we're going to get to that. So what we're thinking about doing here is making an extra support underneath the pipe. Frank's bike rattles and shakes, you know, and he comes onto it, so we want to make something that's strong. The rear mount is holding it in place, but we're going to reinforce that. So we've just taken a piece of cardboard and started to make ourselves a template here to go off of the two bolts. This bolt here and this bolt here. So these two places will be where it gets positioned. And we're going to cut it out and put a small cutout up in there. And I'm going to trim this back, and then we're going to put a tab on the exhaust pipe itself to weld it on here to make sure that it's got something to bolt to with a slot in it, so that if the transmission has to be adjusted backwards or forwards, you can still use the same bolt. So what we're going to do is try to fabricate this piece now. So we've taken our piece and we've cut it out and traced it on here. A little trick you can use is tape that right on there, and that lines up pretty well. Then you just check your distances from these two holes, and away you go. So we're close there now. Looks pretty close to what we got. So we're hoping we're going to try and give it a cutout and see how it comes along there. So now we've got it ready to cut here on our program, and we just got to zero some things up. We've got it where we want it. So that'll be our little test piece. So we'll take it and try it, fit it, and see if it'll fit on the bike where we want. Then we can make our adjustments. That's about where we want it now. So everything seems to be fitting into place. And that'll just add an extra thing here to give them a little more of a brace. So what we're going to do now is try to make us a little bracket to go around the exhaust pipe. So we're going to need to have it at a 1 3/4 hole. We'll just eyeball it here. There we go. That seems to be getting it in place where we want it. This tells us where our original bracket is. So we're just going to trim this. Now we just need to make this a little bit longer here, but not a whole lot, so that this bracket will bolt up against that and keep these in place. So that's what we're going to try to do next. We're just going to cut this one out by hand. It's just as easy to do that. So we're just drawing it out here on a piece of 14 gauge. To be good and thick. We know the line comes down there like that. So we're just going to add a little bit of a loop here. Start with. And that should give us enough to work our bracket. So we've got the little piece in here now, and looks like it's going to mount up just right. We've made this little piece, and we're going to attach this up in behind on the exhaust pipe, and that will be where we want it to go, right there. So we've marked it in behind along here, and we've marked it here. I'm going to take the pipe off and weld this tab on, just stick it on, and we'll see where we are from there, whether we're close or not, but I'm pretty sure we got it where we want it. So now you can see we're test fitting the bracket in place here, and it looks like it's going to be just right for what we want, and that exhaust is going to be as solid as can be. We've got a through hole here, put our bolt through, clamp it once we're all welded on, and that should fit just right, I'm hoping. So now we've got the bracket in place on there underneath, and we welded it up so that it should be okay to good to go. We're gonna put it on the bike and make sure everything fits right, and that should be about it, I hope. So now that we've got the tab in place and we've taken things off, we want to draw attention to a couple things. We've made small bushings here to go in. And what these are going to do is, because these are countersunk in here, we want to put these bushings inside there so that the plate will stand off of the bushings and not be crushed into the plate and try to twist and go on. The next thing is that these holes in here are only in here probably 3/4 of an inch from the edge of the seam here. So you've got to make sure that you're in there far enough, and a lot of times these holes get walled out and they're wiggly and everything else. So what we've opted to do is that we're going to put the plate on. We're going to take a piece of threaded rod and stick in there just to give us some idea of where this is going to sit once it's all in here. And it's always nice to know too, to make sure that your bracket is fitting nicely there when it's tightened in. We don't want it to be pressing against this, you know, and as you can see where this is loose, this bracket is just going in and sitting right against the face there. So it's not a problem at all. That we thought, you know, somebody should watch out for if the tab was bent or if the tab was not in line, you'd be always putting pressure on it. So by putting these standoffs in and holding our plate out to where we want it, that gives us a better chance of everything just being held in place, but being held in place strongly with no stress areas. So we're going to put this in here and we're going to screw it in. Like I say, I've snugged the top one up. We want this in far enough, but I want to make sure that I'm bottomed out into the bottom of the threads, because we don't want to go in there and think, oh yeah, that's it. You go to tighten it up and you're on a bunch of messy threads there. First thing you know is that it'll pull it out. So we're going to double nut this down here just to make sure. So that's going to give us the ability to move it all the way in and make sure that we're bottomed out in the threads. I'm just going to lock these two together. If you don't, you could be fooled, get in their ways, think that's it, you know, snug it up, and then find you've just pulled the threads right out. So this is definitely going to give me an idea of how deep we can go with this piece of rod. There we go. So I'm going to back this off now, and I'm fairly confident that I'm in there. So now we know we'd like to put a washer in behind that, and we want, you know, possibly an acorn nut, you know, to keep it in place. I also would like to be able to tighten it in and lock it in. So we're going to take a measurement across here and just make sure that our threaded rod sticks out that far. So from the end here is where we want to cut it off, right there. So what we're going to do is take these out and try to carefully remove this one, because this one will tell us how much thread we need to have sticking out in order to put your lock washer on and to put possibly, you know, an acorn nut or something like that on there. So that's the actual depth that we need. Thinking before that your other nuts were long going in there. I did, you know, and truth of the matter was, they're not all that long in there. They're not actually getting that much bite in there. That, for example, will show you the sort of depth, that much more that we're going to get into on there. So you wouldn't have thought that, but it is, and that many threads going in there and being Loctited in makes a hell of a difference. The original ones were like this. So that'll give you the distance on how much you need. That's why we wanted to be safe and double check it out. So we're going to cut this stud, get it in place, see if we can find another piece and match them up, and see if we can match the rest of it up. But do not forget,
Make yourself some little spacers. Make sure that all sits in, and do that all before you go to put this tab in place, or else things just won't line up for you. All right, moving on. So now that we've got the burrs all straightened out on this one here, we can try a test fit on our plate. I'm gonna put our 2 bolts in. This one here. Put our spacers on. Carefully slide it into place and get the studs started there. There we go. Put our through bolt through the top, and then just slide a nut on there for fitting it. That keeps your top bolt in place. And a little bit of wiggly room for these down here. So we can snug that right up in there now, as you can see. We're going to be taking them off and Loctiting them in there. You want to get those in nice and easy into their place. We're going a little bit farther now, but we've got a bit of a stud sticking out, and we can decide if we want to shorten it up or whether we want to lengthen it up. We're going to put a lock screw on there. We've still got it a little bit tall, I think, for a acorn nut. But those all snugged up and this snugged up. That's going to make our plate. So we're going to take them out, Loctite them, do those sort of things, get a couple acorn nuts that we can find to cover these, and paint this probably, put it back on, and trigger will be good to go. So we got the little T-plate in here now, and we put some stainless steel behind it so that the T stands out when you look at it. Looks quite nice on it, and it's just one of those little personal touches. Hopefully I can get it out far enough that I can at least get a test light on there, but I may have to replace the horn as well. As I work on Frank and look it over, I see so many things that we made over the years. Fender struts, battle bag supports. We built the oil tank, we built the cover for the ignition system. We built all the covers for the belt drive system and the spinners on it. The early style forward controls are something that we made in the earlier years. But as we got along, we progressed. There was a different sort of shift rod made for a trigger and a lot of other handmade pieces. We made these pieces to go on the back swing arm trailer hitch for him there. Trigger's also got one of our early PMC fork stabilizer bars here to help take the twist out of the front end. Spun out the aluminum gas cap covers for him. We also built an all steel air dam on the front, direct some cool air to the engine. We also hand built the oil tank, put a couple switches here for him, and this is a viewer for your oil lines, for your oil tank. Tells you whether you got oil in it or not, so it's nice to have. We also milled the heads out on it, the rocker boxes out on it to make it fit. A little piece for the Kuriak in charge, a little spinner on the point cover, and a bunch of various other little pieces like that. The oil filter cover, the oil tank again. Frank was always one to say, no matter what you're going to do, if you can make a part, make it, and we'll go from there. So that's what we've done. The Nest swing arm was one of the nicest items on it that I liked that was aftermarket. God love you, Arlen. Show me a green and black, but we'll have to find those, but that's good news. That's good news. So as we're working away at things and trying to clean stuff up, as I look over Trigger, I remember a lot of the times that You know, I made parts for this bike over the years. Frank and I have been friends for way over 30 years now. And I sort of became attached to Trigger just as much as he has over the years. We spent so much time together doing stuff and building things, and they were great years. And as I look over Trigger and I start to look at different things, I look at things like the belt drive here, and it makes me think I got a little story for you, because Hip and all those guys seem to have a story, and I never seem to have one. And Pacific Mike's telling stories, and you know, but looking over Trigger and looking at the belt drive, it makes me think of something. Now, a week or so ago, I was looking on the internet and I seen a picture of a guy with sneakers on who had caught his toe inside the belt, inside the open belt drive, and sucked his foot right up in the belt and showed his toe all bloody. And I thought, yeah, you know, one thing we learned early in the years, if you're reaching down to pull that kickstand out because you got a 3-inch belt drive on it, be careful, be careful. And when I seen that, it made me think back. I think back to back in 1996 when there was all Harley drag races up in a place called Maitland here that was put on by the Angels and stuff, and it was quite an event. It was a big event for the time. You know, we all took stuff up there. We took bikes up into the show, and I drag raced my knuckle all the time there for 3 years while the event went on, and I remember back in the beginning, guys used to look at it and say, because it was all chopped out, that, oh, that's nothing but a lawn ornament. You can't do nothing but that. So I took it out and I dared anybody to race me, and I bracket raced, and it was dead on all the time. I knew exactly what it would run. So after the first year, they bugged me about it and said it was this and that. After the second year, they backed off and kind of said, well, you know, it looks like the old thing runs pretty good. By year 3, they were looking at me saying, oh, you should just give the old gal a break, you know, and not torture it so hard. And you know, there's no need to do that with an old machine like that. So I used to just say, well, come on, bring a new one out. I'm ready to bracket race you anytime you want. So at that event, after the event was over, we had headed back from Maitland and headed back home, and a bunch of us in a pack. And Frank was always the sort of guy that liked to get out and run in front, and he would get out and he would go and go and go and go. Then after a while, you'd come rolling down the road, you'd look and see there'd be Frank standing there having a smoke waiting for you. Then after a while, all of a sudden, he'd be by you again. So it wasn't unusual, we thought nothing of it. Now, his cousin, I believe, had his half-ton truck. Frank had brought a brand new half-ton truck, and he was using it as a chase truck and stuff, and, you know, for in case anybody had problems. Well, Frank ran way ahead, and he stopped in a place called Brooklyn, and decided he would have a smoke. And when he did, he reached down to get his hand to reach in and get the kickstand out from which was in underneath. Well, once he did that, his hand rolled up in around the back of the basket and jammed him there. So there he was, bent over, couldn't get the kickstand out because his hand was jammed in the basket, and he couldn't get his hand out of the basket because he couldn't move the bike by himself. He was pinned there. It was actually quite a while before we got there, so he was quite a while by himself. And we actually had to roll the bike backwards, put it in gear and roll it backwards to roll his hand out of there. Made a pretty big mess of it, and you know, he had trouble for a while after that, getting things healed up. But that certainly made me think about sticking your hand in there. But the kicker was that all the time we thought, oh, no problem. He'll be along with the truck, his cousin be along with the truck, we'll just throw it in the back of the truck and away we'll go home. Well, little did we know, his cousin, back a couple miles up on the road in a hurry trying to get down through the road after seeing Frank go, he put his truck off the road and rolled it over, so his truck was all smashed up as well. So there was Frank with a smashed up truck, his hand all smashed up from being in the belt. So it was certainly not a pleasant topper to the weekend, but it was something that we'd never forget, and it was quite a time. So there's my little story to keep up with Hip and them these days. So Frank and I are good friends, and we always will be. So that's one of the reasons that we have this kickstand like this today, so Frank can reach down and easily get it. Good times, good times. All right, let me get back down to it here. Make some clean connections here. A little wire on these, so I have a little extra. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to put the connector right now. Seeing how I'm going along with this, and you know, we were just going to tear the lighting system off of it, but I got to tell you, it looks pretty awesome in the dusk and that when she's lit up. We thought we had a lot of problems with the units themselves or with the switches or whatever, but I'm finding as I go along now, and I'm testing some things, and I did find some little problems. I found broken wires and some things like that, but now I think that we've got it, so that there should be igniting it. See if that makes it a little easier to see there. So let's see. It's all working, so I don't see any sense in not using it. You know, Frank said he didn't care either way, but we thought we had some other problems. So I've got to check some other ones that are down in hiding behind the spoiler in there, and they're quite bright and they really light up the bottom of the bike. So let me just see if I can get stuff in there and get it together, and I can check this system to see if it works. And again, this is working with our, just to check and make sure that our switch is working. See if I can see the other one and trace it back and get what I've got to find on that and see if we can get that working. So yeah, I think I've got the other one isolated. Here was a little switch on this side, and I remember at one point we were going like, what's that for? Couldn't even really remember, and nothing seemed to work. But down inside here, you can barely see, but the little LED lights are just down in there. So I'm going to put some power to it here and see if the light is working and our switch as well. All right, I had a little bit of a problem there, but I think we got it now. So let's just check. My big ground cable wasn't making a good ground. Switch. Turn it on, off, on. There we go. And it is pretty cool when it's at night. It's pretty light in here now, so you can see it's reflecting off of the stand, but again, we've got a lot of light in here, but that gives you an idea. So there, that's working, and the switch is working, so I'll wire those in, and then Frank will know which is which. One's the bottom, one's the top. And I think, but I'm not sure whether there's any on the trailer or not. If so, they would be hooked in through the plug here anyway, and we'll check that when the summer comes. But for now, I'm going to hook those up, wire them into the system here, and keep moving on. So with that, we know we got those things working, so I'm pretty pleased with that. Frank will get a kick out of it when he sees them all working. So now we're just going to start wiring them all in. I got to double check up here and see what we got going. I got a plan, and we'll just work away at it today. And yeah, hey Slick, Quaker like hair. I got it down just for you today. All right, let me get some other things together, and I'll let you have a peek at it as we're going. All right, so we'll try to get a couple other ones checked out here before we hardwire them in. Give me my light, headlight, and the horn's not hooked up yet, so horn's gone bad. But in any case, that's working right, so. Now we'll wire that in, hardwire that. We know which wires are going where pretty well. We can start tying things down. We've got the speedo light in there. Line going back to the tail lights, and power going up here to this switch. And we're all on that line. Try to make some room here. So that gets a lot of that in place. Like I said, I have the speedo light, the headlight switch up here, the horn button, and the blue line going back to the tail light. I always like to run them in blue, and then I know where they are. And I'm gonna get a different color to run back for my horn button. So we've got that squared away, and now the last thing I got left to do is figure out my horn up here and make sure that I've got the right line for it, and that all my connections are working, and then all I have to worry about is my horn. So I've got my one side of my meter up here on the power side, and the other side on here. And when I press the button, my meter should read. So I'll turn the switch on to where I know this one here, and you can check by putting it up here and touching it and see to make sure that it's lit up. We're going to hold it on there this time, and I'm hoping that when I press the button, we'll have it there, and we do. So I'm going to change this pink wire to a different color to differentiate, so I know where my horn is coming back in my wiring harness. I'll write it all down when it's finished, so Frank will have a copy of it. We know that's good, so I need to replace this wire, and that should take care of it all up front. So we'll proceed to work things back into our block here and tidy up what we can. We're not going to replace every wire, like back through the taillights and everything. They're all working, everything's working, the brake light and all that. But we do have to wire everything into our block and have it in appropriate places so we know which is which is which. This is where we're going to put it. I'm going to use some double-sided tape to hold it in place so that you can spring it off if you have to get the oil tank out for any reason. So we got a couple little things left to do here, and we've got to put a new line on our coil, which means I'm going to have to remove that. But I'll put a fresh gray wire, and the gray wire is always used to go into your coil on these old machines. So we'll try and get those few things squared away and see where that takes us. Getting our horn is going to be the biggest issue. It's down in behind in there. I'm hoping when I hook up the button to the wire that we're actually going to be able to get the horn to work, but I'm not holding my breath on it, and it's tucked way back inside there. I can see it, but I'd rather not dick with it, but we'll see. Take your time and tie wrap them in and things. It'll save you a lot of grief later. I'm gonna wrap this afterwards, but just got this in place right now. Cleans it up, and we'll work all those to the inside so they don't rub on the tank by chance. Now, we'll work our way to the back and get these ones tied in. I can go back and check my tail lights out and make sure all that's working right. But we're good to go up here, we're golden. Now we're just gonna put some of this open split sort of sheathing on it. So we're getting there now. We've got her all cleaned up, tidied up. It's a hell of a lot nicer than what it was. So a little bit of sheathing and cleaning it all up. So I got a few more checks to do tomorrow and make sure and see where we're at. But I think that we're pretty close there, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. I think the brake light switch is not working, so I'm gonna have to change the brake light switch out. But I bypassed it, and my wiring and everything works all right, so I know that that's not a problem. So tomorrow we'll have to change that switch, do a few more checks, and then we should be good. If I haven't mentioned it today, be sure to check out my brothers down south, Hippie's Chopper Corner, Slickhead's Custom Cycles. We have a great time with it, back and forth with those guys, and we've been friends for a few years now. We started working together way back. Well, today I got a little treat for you. Slick sent me a little something and made me do a little extra work on my half to put something together, but I figured since he put the time into it, I'll put the time into it. So here's a little bit for you, and thank you very much, Slick, and I appreciate our friendship, and I appreciate the time you took to do it for me. Check it out.
Have you ever wondered where Canada was? Well, it sits atop the North Pole, it's an enchanted glacier, floating on maple syrup and ice. It's the frozen home of a man named Ralph, whose fixes vintage Harleys like no one can. He's got long flowing hair like Quakers. Man, Ralph's a mechanic with hands like a surgeon. It's my time. Let's go. Oh, my time. Let's go. If it's something mechanically you need to know, it's Ralph and it's my time. Let's go. Ralph and it's my time. Let's go. Ralph is the man, acts slick and hippie, they know. With a little help from Medtronic Pauline and his old dog Norman, his team is unstoppable. And some mechanic with hands like a surgeon. It's my time. Let's go. Go our time. Let's go. If it's something mechanically you need to know, it's Ralph and it's my time. Let's go. Ralph and it's my time. Let's go. If you don't try, you'll never know. It's my time. Let's go. Time, let's go. If it's something mechanically you need to know, it's Ralph and it's my time. Let's go. Ralph and it's my time. Let's go. Ralph and it's my time. Let's go. If it's Ralph and it's my time, let's go.
So that's what it's all about, friends, and spending time and doing things that make each other laugh and have a good time. And I'm so grateful to have joined up with Slick and Hippie, and we've worked together since the beginning, and it's been one of the great pleasures of my life. So thank you, Slick, for that, and thank you, Hip, for working with me. And it was great to talk to you this past weekend. So take care of yourself, and we'll talk again soon. So if you enjoyed this video today, like, subscribe, comment, ring the bell, bing, do those kind of things. It helps us to grow. I hope that you enjoy the content as we move along, and it's I got a lot of things on my plate to do this winter now that I've got Margaret completed, and I'm looking forward to some of it. You know, it takes time to do some things, and I always have a big long list of more things that I want to do than I really have time for. Being as at my age, 8-10 hour days are just too much for me, so I have to kind of work along accordingly. So what I'd like to do is wish everyone around the world, and all my supporters and all my subscribers, and even those of you that don't subscribe but just watch my channel, I'm wishing you all the best Christmas that you can have, and all the best for you in 2026. Another year coming, another year of stuff. Stay tuned for our videos. We'll be here with you. I don't know if I'll see you next week because it's Christmas. I don't know if I'll have a chance to do a video or not, but I'll definitely see you the week afterwards. All right. Yeah, so we're having fun now. Winter.